my dear friend, and welcome to Dear Disciples. My name is Erica, and I'm so thankful to have you here with me today. I have been doing this podcast for a few months now, since June, and the longer I do it, the more humbled I become that I have this opportunity to create this platform and that I have this platform, and I do not take it lightly, and I'm just really humbled that I get to share the things that I've grown through and the things that the Lord has taught me and that He's continuing to teach me. So I really want to go into something today that might be a little challenging to talk about, and so it might be a little heavier, and so if you're not prepared for that, it may not be a good episode for you. But if you are looking for hope, then this might be a great episode for you, because I want to share more about my testimony more in depth, along with sharing a story in the Bible that really connects with it, and that's given me hope and makes me honestly, I sound the way I do because I'm a little emotional just thinking about it all, and mentally and emotionally preparing myself, spiritually preparing myself to walk into this episode. I'm just a little, it's emotional, and I've been thinking about this a lot for the past couple of hours before recording this, and I just pray for supernatural communication and that the Lord just speaks through me to share this story, share my story, and share what He taught me through it and what His voice sounded like and where His heart was through this moment of time for me and even currently. And perhaps you will connect, perhaps you'll know someone else that will connect, but I wanted to share vulnerably and just do my best to share this, and I just want to go right into it. And if you haven't listened to my testimony, I have it. It's my first episode, and I didn't go too far in depth just because it was my first episode, but I did go into some of the bigger pieces, but I didn't go too elaborately. I didn't go too deep into any specific area of my story. But I remember so clearly, and I'm going to go back to 19, 20-year-old me, and what I share in my testimony is a huge, probably the most challenging thing that I've ever gone through was my boyfriend of 3 years at that time took his life. And it felt very sudden, and I knew that he wasn't in the best place mentally, and he'd talked about it with me before about taking his life, but it didn't seem like it was actually going to happen until I found out that it was already done. And it was very, very challenging. It's the most challenging thing that I've ever gone through. And the recovery time period of that season felt endless. And honestly, it's very difficult to try to explain it, because I was just a complete mess in every area. And I went more, and I'd love to go more into it in another episode, of how I went down this path of self-sabotage because I already felt broken. And so, why not be more broken? I'm already, this is my mindset, I'm already worthless. I'm already damaged. Why not just do some more damage? What's the worst that could happen? And that was my mindset. That was my posture. And I got into just putting myself in horrible situations, not having the best standard for relationships or even for myself. And I just went down this spiral of destroying my life even more so. And I can't blame anyone but myself for that. And I'd like to talk about that more in depth, but the thing I would like to talk about more today is the side that was more of the internal battle, and the thoughts and the feelings and the depression and the anxiousness and the suicidal idolization and this obsession, in a sense, with wanting to end my life because I didn't want to deal with the pain anymore. I didn't want to deal with the pain anymore. I didn't feel like I was going to have a fulfilling life. I didn't feel like I was worthy of it. I felt like the more I continued to spiral down, the more worthy I was of death. And that just felt like the easier option. And the thing is, life is hard. Life is not easy. And so death sounded peaceful and the easy way out because it meant I didn't have to go through my struggle. I could just cut it off. But that's not what the Lord wants for me. And that's not what he wants for any of us. He doesn't want us to take our life. This life that we have is a gift. And at the time, and I feel like I still continue to apologize and ask for forgiveness. I know God's already forgiven me, but just thinking back to that time where I was just so horrible and in a way just insulting to God. Like, I don't want to live. Why am I still here? I want to leave. I just can imagine as a father hearing your child say that she wants to die and she's willing to take her own life and that she hates herself and she hates her life. I can imagine how hurtful that is. You gave her this life and you want her to prosper and you want her to have this abundant, beautiful life. And and she doesn't want that, and she just feels that the pain that she's in is not ever going to end. And to be completely real, it did feel that way. And obviously I have overcome, and obviously when I think back to that point, I don't know why I keep saying obviously, when I think back to that point, I do remember how it felt very clearly, and it did feel like it would never end. And when I think back, I relate with her, and I still, even though I feel so apart and I'm such a different person, I remember back and I think to myself, that was me. That was my life. That's my story. That was my pain. And I did that. That's my life. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, where they look back on a specific period of time or they share it very casually because they're used to it. And then you think about it later and you kind of think to yourself, wow, that happened to me. That was what I was going through. No way. And even though I've healed and the Lord's healed me and delivered me from so much, I still think back to that time and it makes me cry because I just remember how much I hated life and how much I hated myself and how mean I was to Jesus for this gift of life that I had that I didn't want. I remember thinking to myself in a way, like yelling at God, like, I don't want to live anymore. Can you just take this pain away from me? I don't want to have to feel it. I don't want to have to go to therapy. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to keep spiraling down. I'm just tired. I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm tired. And I don't want to do this. Like, why did you give me this life? I was just so ungrateful. And I wanted so badly to get out of my pain. I don't know if you've ever asked God this or just felt this way, but just kind of the posture of, it's just, can you just get me out of this? Can you just remove this situation? Can you remove this pain? Can you just take it away? And then he doesn't. And a part of you is just maybe angry or frustrated or hurt because I thought you loved me. Why won't you take this pain away? And I don't have the answer to why God does certain things. I don't have all of the answers. I'm sorry. But what I do know is that he didn't just leave me and abandon me in that pain. He said, "No, I'm not taking you out of this. I'm not just going to remove it. I'm not going to remove you from it. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk with you." He met me where I was at, and he walked with me. And he led me the way that I needed to go. And he walked at my pace. He wasn't dragging me along. Like, come on, you're taking too long. You're being too slow. He walked with me, and he met my pace. And it was slow. I was not fast whatsoever. It was a slow pace. And even though I didn't feel it all the time, he was right next to me. He was right there for me. I mean, we get distant from him. He doesn't get distant from us. I hope that makes sense. He's always with us. But if we don't feel his presence, we don't feel his spirit, that's on us. And that's a whole talk in itself. But that's completely on us. It could be sin, it could be shame, it could be a lack of it could be so many different things. But even when I didn't feel his presence super close all the time, he was still there with me, and he was still walking with me. When I was crying in my room on the floor, I was sobbing in the car and I had to pull over on the side of the highway because I was crying and I didn't want to get in an accident, where the thoughts were getting to a point where I wanted to purposely put myself in an accident. He walked with me. And again, it was, no, I'm not taking you out of this. I'm not just taking the pain away. That sounds easy. And I know that as a father, he hates to see us hurting. I mean, we're his children. He has so much compassion for us and so much love for us, and he hates to see us hurting. But we have to grow. And the thing is, we don't teleport out of our issues. We have to grow through them. And so he was helping me grow through the pain. Because what I can do with that pain once I've overcome it is I can use that story, that transformation, that testimony to help other people. To help other people see the light and the compassion that Jesus has for us. And that he truly does care for us, and that he's constantly with us, and he wants to help, but he's not going to force his hand on your life. He's not going to force it. He wants you. Like that's the point of free will. I don't want to force my husband to love me. I want him to just love me and choose me. And it's the same thing for Jesus. He wants us to choose him. He wants us to choose him. And I personally had to get to that point of choosing him. And it was little by little and then it was all of a sudden it was everything. And that's a whole thing. Surrender is hard when you just think about it. It's very challenging when you just think about it. But then when you actually do it, it's so freeing and refreshing, and the chains are completely broken off of your life. When you surrender and give your life to Jesus, you die to yourself and you live for Him. It's so much easier once you actually do it. I'm not perfect. And it's a daily thing. This is not a once in a lifetime thing. Like, oh, I gave my life to Christ. I lifted my hand at church and they prayed over me this past Sunday, or when I was 11, or what. It is an every single day thing. You wake up, your feet hit the ground, and you decide to die to yourself and to live for Him, to live out His will and not your own. I'm getting a little off track. I'm sorry. Again, it didn't make sense at the time. It didn't make sense. It doesn't make sense when you're in the midst of it. Like, why don't you just take this pain away? Why not? I can't answer all the time, but what I can tell you is what helped me, and what has helped me, and what God taught me in the midst of my pain, in the midst of me having to grow through it. And the thing is, we get to know Him better through these things. You don't have to go through struggles to get to know the Lord more, but when you are struggling, it is a great time to understand and get to know Jesus, because you just feel His heart. And I mean, you can feel His heart in the good, but when you're in a rough spot, there's just this fatherly compassion that you can feel. So I want to read a story to you. This is going to be in John 11. Now a man named Lazarus was sick. He was from Bethany, the village of Mary and his sister Martha. This is the Mary that poured perfume on the Lord's feet and wiped it with her hair. So the sisters sent a word to Jesus, "Lord, the one you love is sick." When he said this, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for the This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for the Lord's glory, so that the Lord's Son may be glorified through it." Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that Lazarus was sick, he stayed where he was for 2 more days. Then he said to his disciples, "Let us go back to Judea." "But Rabbi," they said, "a short while ago the Jews just tried to stone you, and yet you're going back?" And Jesus answered, "Are there not 12 hours of daylight? Anyone who walks in the daytime will not stumble, for they see by the world's light. It is when a person walks at night that they stumble, for they have no light." After he said this, he went on to tell them, "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up." His disciples replied, "Lord, if he is asleep, he will get better." Jesus had been speaking of his death, but his disciples thought he meant natural sleep. So then he told them plainly, "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." Then Thomas said to the rest of the disciples, "Let us also go, that we may die with him." On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come for Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, she went out to him, and Mary stayed in the house. "Lord," Martha said to him, "if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus said to her, "Your brother will rise again." Martha answered, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." Jesus said to her, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me, the one who believes in me will live even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die. Do you believe this?" "Yes, Lord," she replied. "I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world." After she said this, she went back and called her sister Mary aside. "The teacher is here," she said, "and is asking for you." When Mary heard this, she got up quickly and went to him. Now Jesus had not yet entered the village, but was still at the place where Mary had met him. When the Jews who had been with Mary in the house, comforting her, noticed how quickly she got up and went out, they followed her, supposing she was going to the tomb to mourn there. Then Mary reached the place where Jesus was and saw him, and she fell at his feet and said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." When Jesus saw her weeping, the Jews who had come along with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they said. Jesus wept. And then the Jews said, "See how he loved him?" But some of them said, Could not he who have opened the eyes of the blind have kept this man from dying?" Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb, and it was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. "Take away the stone," he said. "But Lord," said Martha, the sister of the dead man, "by this time there will be a bad odor, for he has been in there for 4 days." Then Jesus said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe you will see the glory of God?" So they took away the stone, and then Jesus looked up and said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always heard me. And I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe you sent me." When he said this, Jesus came out with a loud voice. "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with strings of linen and the cloth around his face. Jesus said to him, "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." There's more to this chapter in this story, and there's so much here. There's so much here. But what I really want to point out is Martha and Mary. They asked him, they sent word to him, like, "Our brother is dying." They called for help. And Jesus didn't come immediately and heal him. He waited. And in their eyes, "You waited, you took too long. Where were you?" And as he sees Martha and Mary runs out to him, crying and completely torn apart that her brother is gone. Why weren't you here? If you were here, my brother wouldn't have died. And Jesus, it says that he was deeply moved in his spirit and troubled. I can imagine that it's hard for him too to not just want to fix it. I'm sure he just wants to take it away because he doesn't want to see us in pain. And he sees her weeping and just in tears and so deeply hurt. And he's moved in spirit and he weeps with us. He starts weeping with her. And my point with that is that Jesus hurts with you. He knows the end result, but he hurts with you. He doesn't like to see you hurting, but he knows you have to move through that hurt. You can't just leave that hurt. We have to grow through our hurt. And it sucks because you just want to take it away as a father. But he knows that this is going to be the best thing for us. And so he doesn't immediately take it away, but he walks with us. I'm just going to point out this line again. Where have you laid him? He said, come and see, Lord. And Jesus is weeping. He weeps right after this, just falling to your knees. You don't have this strength. Your body's tense. Your heart aches in your chest. Tears running down your face. If you go back to verse 4, Jesus said, this sickness will not end in death. It is for God's glory, so that God's Son might be glorified through it. Do you realize that your story, whatever you might be overcoming, maybe what you're going through, it could be used, it can be used for God's glory. As much as I didn't love what I went through, and it was not fun, I can use my story now to give God glory and honor and praise and share it with people. And it is a testament to God's glory and his faithfulness in my life. So really, these are two reminders for you. God is with you. He's I guess 3. I'm giving you 3. He walks with you. He meets you where you're at. And he walks with you. You're not going through this alone. He's not telling you to just get over it. He's getting through it with you. Going back to Psalm 23, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. He's with us. He's walking with us, and we're walking through it together. Number 2, he's going and he's weeping with us. He aches with us. He has so much compassion for his children, and we are his children. He hates to see us in pain, and I'm not a mother yet, but I can imagine just seeing my child in pain and wanting to just take it away, but you have to let them move through it. But you can be there with them, but you still hurt for them. So he's with you, and he loves you, and he hates to see you hurting, but you have to move through it. But he's with you. He's your support. He can be your strength. And lastly, your story matters. And whatever you've overcome already and whatever you may not have overcome yet, your story matters, and it can be used as a testament for God's glory in your life and what He's done and what He's brought you through. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, I always feel like He's done so much for me, and what do I have to give back to Him? What I have to give back to Him is I get to share my story that He helped me walk through and that He orchestrated to give Him glory and to bring people to Him, to share the gospel and share the love of Jesus with people. And also, as I'm reminded of my pain, I'm not just, the enemy will make you remember your past to make you feel shameful and to make you feel bad about it. God will remind you of your past hurt, but not to push you down, but to remind you, hey, look how far you've come. You remember when you were there and you see where you are now? Do you see how much you've gotten through? I'm so proud of you. I'm going to read that verse one more time. Verse 4, Jesus said, "This sickness will not end in death. It is for God's glory, that God's Son may be glorified through it." I understand wanting to just escape the pain and wanting for it to just go away. But growing through it and walking through it with Jesus, it's not fun still, but man, it makes it so much easier knowing that He's right there next to you, moving through it with you. And it might be a journey. I don't know your story. We all go, I mean, depending on what everything is that happened, it could take a lot of time to heal, but it's not time that heals, it's Jesus that heals. And as He walks through us, with us, and He's within us, it makes it so much easier. And I think that was one thing that I really kept in mind for when I was going through this time still, was I had to remind myself, I don't know, I don't want to do this, Lord, but I know that if I don't overcome this, I can't help anybody else. And so perhaps that'll help you to just take your eyes off yourself and to think about it from the lens of helping other people. Like, I want to overcome this because I hate going through it and I don't want to see other people go through it. So if I get through this, it can be used as a testament to God's faithfulness, and just I can glorify Him by helping other people and sharing this story with people, but I can't do that if I don't overcome it. That personally helped me. I don't know about you, but I just wanted to share that taking my eyes off myself long term. In the moment, it was hard, but I had to keep that in mind. That was the thing that I think the main reason why I couldn't take my life was because I knew that I was still here for a reason. And even though I didn't understand that reason or purpose, I still woke up that morning. Even though I felt like I was dying internally. And so I really do hope and pray that this helps. And I know it was a little longer of an episode, and I read a lot of John 11. I would encourage you to read that chapter by yourself and just really see where God sticks out to you and what connects with you, whether it is the God may be glorified through it verse, or that Jesus is weeping with you, or that I am the resurrection and the life, and the one who believes in me will live even though they die. Whoever lives by me will never die. And I mean, there's so much within this passage and this story, but really visualize it, truly visualize it, and put yourself there. And I hope these 3 things really, really help you. And I know, I mean, God help me. I know He can help you, and He'll meet you wherever you're at. And so I look forward to hearing your story. I would love to hear your story. I love hearing people's testimonies. And the harder it might be right now, I think that's just even more. There's so much more opportunity to give God glory. And I'm not saying you have to go through a lot to give God glory, but when you have gone through a lot and God's brought you through so much, there's just this depth of appreciation and glory that you give Him, because people look at you and say, no way you went through that. Like, you don't seem like that. You seem so happy and joyful, and there's so much peace about you, and blah blah blah. Like, yeah, but Jesus, I have people ask me all the time that when I share my story, I don't know if I would have been able to get through that. How did you do that? It's like, Jesus. I really feel that way. And so God is with you. He loves you so much. He's so compassionate. Your story matters. And we get through things with Him. He doesn't abandon us and let us figure it out ourselves. We get through it with Him. I pray that you have a beautiful week. And I look forward to talking to you next week.